Now, you mentioned rowing there.
Mm-hmm.
So this was no like weekend row that you decided to do. This was, you got after it.
Yeah.
So how'd that come about?
So I was looking for that workout program. I knew at this point, hey, I'm alive. I'm going to still try and have the best life possible. And so I'm trying to get back what I lost, so to speak. And I used to like working out and going to the gym, getting after it. And so I'm sitting there going, well, what's another way that I can work out now? And so I started looking up, I forget what I looked up, disabled sports or disabled work. I Googled something. And
Google getting after it.
Google getting after it. And so the Paralympics comes up. I don't know what the heck is the I know the Olympics. I don't know what the Paralympics is. Is that like the Special Olympics? And the answer to that question is no. And so the Paralympics is the Olympics for disabled people, for people with disabilities. It's like, all right, well, I fit into that category. Let's see what sports they got. And I saw they had rowing. And I said, well, you know what? I used to hit the rowing machine when I was working out.
Mm-hmm. Getting on the Concept 2.
Yeah, the Concept 2, doing some sprints on that thing. That was pretty tough. And I want something that's tough. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to look into this rowing thing. And maybe I'll make the Paralympics one day. And this is when I just got to the hospital, like my second week in the hospital.
Not real strong point in the patient's area, huh?
Hey, you got to set yourself a goal right away.
Check.
You don't have something you're working towards, then you're just, treading water. And so, yeah, and hey, a lot of things fell into place. I probably didn't go out and try and learn to row on the water until the next year. So my main focus at that point was still learning the prosthetics and getting my strength back. But once I kind of got my strength back and I felt like I was ready to move on kind of outside of the therapy angle on it, I looked up places where I could learn to row. And just so happened there was one in D.C. And so I went down there and I learned. And I don't want to brag, but the guy said I was a natural. So it's like, well, maybe I can do this. And so I convinced they didn't have a rowing machine in the physical therapy clinic at the time. They had an elliptical.
Mm-hmm.
They had all sorts of equipment. They didn't have a rowing machine. So I convinced the clinic, whoever was running the clinic, to get a rowing machine for me so I could row. And then when I was training for the Nations Triathlon, I convinced them to let me bring my bike in and ride my bike in the clinic. So I had I was starting to build my own gym inside the gym. And I convinced them to get a kettlebell for me and stuff. And so I convinced them to let me have that rowing machine. And so a couple times a week I would go down to the water and train on the water. The other times I would just do some sprints on the rowing machine. And then it just kind of kept getting better and better. And this was 2011. So then the Paralympics were 2012. And
now is there like a specific coach that runs the rowing team?
There isn't. In some sports there are. There's a head coach that's in charge of everybody and he'll train everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But for my category in Paralympic rowing, it's pretty much you find your own coach and you show up at this race, and if you win that race, then you represent America in all their races for that year.
Dang. How far is the row?
It's 1,000 meters.
So what is that like? It takes you a couple minutes? 3 minutes?
So rowing trunk and arms only is my category. So it would take me, my best ever time on the erg was probably like 3:38, I think.
And that's like puke level putting out.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the water, the best in a double, so 2 people. My category, you have to have 2 people in the boat, was just right around 4 minutes. If you could do 4 minutes, then you had a shot at winning.
And that's 1,000 meters too?
It's 1,000 meters. So you're always going to be a little bit slower on the water.
And you say it's 4 minutes, you said?
Yeah, about 4 minutes.
So it's like a complete gut check. It's equivalent of sprinting like the mile.
Yeah.
Because you're going 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
4 minute mile.
I mean, it's no joke. It's a tough race.
And where was the Paralympics that year?
The Paralympics were in London in 2012, and so I was just getting ready for that. I was getting ready to retire. I needed something to do too, and just so happened that my coach that at the time knew somebody else, knew this other coach that had a female that was looking for a partner, also a double above the knee amputee. And so my boat class is 1 guy, 1 girl. And so we met up, rode together, looked like we were a pretty good pair. And once I retired, moved down to Florida, started training for the Paralympics.
How long did you have to train?
So I got out in late December. So let's say call it January 1st. And we had the Paralympic final was September 2nd or September 3rd.
Okay, so you had a decent chunk of time to get ready.
Good 9 months.
Of crushing yourself.
Training twice a day, every day, or twice a day, 6 days a week. Take off Sunday, and just sprints, technique, a lot of technique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have to do the technique in the water?
Yeah. I mean, you can do it outside of the water a little bit, but it's really, you got to practice your technique in the water. I'm sure it's like jiu-jitsu. You just got to, it doesn't matter if you're doing like in a fake scenario, it doesn't really have the same effect unless you're doing it in the real thing.
Yeah. So you get to England and boom.
Yeah.
How many races is there in England? Is it just one race?
No, luckily. There's a couple races, so we had to win the trials race.
Okay.
Which was to find out who represented America. We won that. Then we had to go qualify our boat for the Paralympics. And so we had to go to Serbia about maybe a month after winning the trials to qualify the boat. So we won that race, qualified our boat. And then Paralympics, you show up and you do your heat. And then if you win that heat...
How many boats are in a heat?
6.
Dang.
So
okay.
There were 12 boats total, 6 in each heat, 2
Got
heats.
it.
So if you win that heat, you automatically go to the final. If you don't win that heat, you got to go what's called the repêchage.
Mm-hmm.
Stands for second chance in French. And you have to come first or second in that. So we won our repêchage. We lost our heat to the Chinese, which still makes me so mad. And we won our repêchage, so we were in the final. And we started the final in dead last. And just slowly, over the course of the race, this was our race plan. We kind of wanted to start slow and build. Slowly, we just rode in one boat, and the next boat, and the next boat, until we got to the end, and we're about 6 inches between us and the Great British boat, the home team.
Oh,
Everybody's cheering for the home team. And so... 3rd place gets a medal, 4th place, you don't get anything.
Right.
You get nothing, yeah. So, and we're doing our final sprint, and then we cross the line, and I don't know, I wasn't looking over there.
Mm-hmm.
My forearms were numb. I was just trying to hold on to the oars, and then it comes up on this little board, it's 1st place, China, 2nd place, France, and then... There's just this long pause. I'm just looking over there. And then it goes 3rd place, USA. And I'm like,
boom.
Yeah. Woo. And you look at the video, it's literally like the length of one of these knives.
No kidding.
Yeah, that close. 0.2 seconds between them and us.
That's crazy.
It was so close.
So, did you meet anyone while you were on that event right there?
Well, yes, I did, actually.
You were telling me you met someone over on that event.
Oh, well. So I'll tell you, when we were first got there and we were training, we would go out. We were probably there a good week beforehand, so we'd go out and train on the lake and continue our training, get used to the area. My partner, my rowing partner, and I were watching the other teams. And then there's another boat class called the 4, so it's 4 people. And I saw this Great British 4 row by, and there was this gorgeous blonde in the bow of the 4. And I just bit my lip. I was like, that's a good looking chick. And, I never expected to meet her or anything because, we're not racing against each other and she's from another team. And you kind of, until the race is over, you got to be.
You're keeping it professional.
Sure.
She
even though she was super hot.
She was very hot. But, and she'll tell me back when she told me she saw me around, I was like, because I was just in serious Marine Corps mode. Just don't talk to anybody.
You had business to take care of. Although she was pretty hot.
And so racing's over. We're back in the athletes' village. It's time to get after it.
The other kind of getting after it.
There's a casino outside the athletes' village, so the American contingent goes out to this casino. At this point, I'm still kind of in like serious mode. It takes a couple days to get out of it, serious mode. Mm-hmm. Still a little bit pissed that we lost, to China and France. Mm-hmm. It's like the two countries that my buddies were like, don't lose to China or France. They were taking shots like every 250. They were following on at home, and like every 250 they took a shot. They woke up like so early in the morning. So we're out there. Then the British team comes in, the 4. They just won gold, right? And they're all happy. So we're the only 2 groups that speak English,
right?
So
bonus.
Yeah, exactly. So our 2 groups, kind of end up together, and it took them a while to get me out of my shell, because I was like, still kind of on my guard. This was maybe the second time I'd ever traveled outside of America for anything besides deployments.
Yeah.
I'd never traveled outside of America. But Serbia was the first time. England was the second time. Damn. So I was kind of still on my guard a little bit. But they started feeding me Fosters, lightened up. And then just so happened the gorgeous blonde I saw was there. So, hey. You guys know how charming I am, so charmed her.
Well, you at least fooled her.
So I'm sure the alcohol helped, but charmed her, and now we're married. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
After 4 years of long distance relationship, because she kept rowing, she actually defended her gold medal in Rio.
And did it again?
Yeah,
got gold again.
So we did about. We didn't get together right away. We did. Long distance for about 3 years. She living in England and I was living in America. But finally got her over here. We're married. Yep. Her name's Pam.
Nice.
Pam.
Well, obviously I have a certain affinity for British ladies as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty well known. Now, you mentioned real quickly you were training for a triathlon in there somewhere too?
Yeah, so the people at the clinic, it was, it was a team effort, everybody. So there were other amputees in there. And, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Dan Knassen, the Navy SEAL, that was there for a year.
Awesome guy.
Before
Stud.
me.
And Paralympian as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Paralympian in the biathlon. He was my idol, I guess, for when I first got there, because he was pretty much done with therapy. He was about to get out. He was walking everywhere on his legs, carrying backpack around.
And he was almost, the exact same injury as you?
Just
above
about,
the knee.
double above the knee, yeah. And so I could see him from when I was just sitting in a wheelchair.
Right.
Like, all right, it's possible.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing it with my own 2 eyes. It is possible. And so...
And he's a stud.
And so if you want to try and be like anybody, it's be like Dan, because and so that's kind of the environment that they had there at Walter Reed was you could ask somebody that had been there before tips, tricks, anything like that. And so I saw Dan and I was asking him stuff and just watching how he did stuff. And then eventually he left, and I kind of noticed, I am now, there's new guys coming in, and I'm now that person that has been there. And so I need to step into that role and offer advice and work harder than anybody else in the clinic and show people what's going on and show people what's possible.